What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 131, everybody. I am your host, SleezBall. Today's episode will be my Week 10 top 10 waiver wire pickups that are rostered under 50% of Yahoo leagues that I think will actually help you if you need a plug and play next week with the buys or injuries that have happened in fantasy football. Before we dive into it, guys, shout out to all you guys who showed up for the birthday stream. Sorry I missed the Sunday stream, man. Halloween was wild. I'm old. I shouldn't be partying like that. And before we head into it, guys, make sure you smash that like. Make sure you smash that subscription. Turn that bell on. It helps me out a ton. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support you have shown me this year. And I will get all my rankings and stardom sit-ems out to you before the Thursday kickoff. We will also be live tonight, an hour before the kickoff, going over Monday Night Football, recapping all our calls, what we missed, what we hit on, and we'll be looking into some pick'ems and stuff tonight, what we like for Monday Night Football. And let's dive into some waiver wire pickups that might help you here heading into next week. The first player we should be targeting on the waiver wire this week is going to be Justin Herbert, who is currently owned in 44% of Yahoo leagues right now. Quarterback 21 on the year, 1,725 passing yards, 10 passing touchdowns, only one pick. You have to love that. Also throwing in 85 rush yards, another thing you like in fantasy football. And here's what's interesting. So not only do they have a top defense that is very, very good, that's going to get them the ball back more often than not, some more opportunities on the drives. In the first 4 weeks, right, Harbaugh, the new coach, you saw them never really pass over 30% or 30 pass attempts a game. They just pounded the run. Then they hit the bye in week 5. All of a sudden, every single game here, 30, 39, 34, 32, they are passing heavy. Quinton Johnson is in the game now. Joshua Palmer is back healthy. Ladd McConkey is breaking out. J.K. Dobbins is solid. And guys, their schedule gets better and better and better as you go here. So they do have a tough matchup in week 10, but then they get Cincy, Baltimore, Atlanta, KC, Tampa. That is 5 bad pass defenses in a row. Justin Herbert is set to be back to Justin Herbert, a starting QB here again. And I'm willing to spend, if you're, I would say waiver wire wise priority about 5 or 6, but FAAB wise, probably 20-25% here, because you're getting a QB that you can start weekly. And it's probably going to give you 20 points a game in these next 5 to 6 games here heading up into the season. So I really, really like the Justin Herbert pickup on the waiver wire this week. The second quarterback you should be targeting on your waiver wire is Russell Wilson, and these are the tricks right here. So they're coming off a bye, so people didn't pick him up. They probably dropped him to the waiver wire, and this guy has just come in and taken the job from Justin Fields and just ran with it. He's looked better than I thought, 100%. He's passed for over 250 yards in both games, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, even has a rushing TD with some rushing yards to go with it at his old age. You have to like that. You're going to have the Pittsburgh Steelers defense to get you the ball back all the time because they're one of the top defenses in the NFL. You're going to have Pickens. You're going to have Pat Freiermuth. You're going to have Najee. You're going to have Warren. They're possibly looking to trade for Adam Thielen here before the trade deadline here November 5th. Another weapon he could have. And guys, the schedule is absolutely amazing. Washington, Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincy, Cleveland, Philly, Baltimore, KC, Cincy. Those names look like top defenses, but they're all bad versus the pass. And when you're in the cold, you have a defense that is this good. I mean, I spent 60% of my FAAB in week 8, guys, for him. So I'd be willing to spend 25 to 30. This is a very competitive 14-man league, but I'd be willing to spend, 20, 30% to get this guy in regular leagues because he's just going to give you 15 to 20 points the rest of the way, all the way down the stretch of the season here. The third quarterback you should be targeting, and it's going to be a dart throw play here. It is going to be Trey Lance of the Dallas Cowboys. So just updated that Dak Prescott is going to be out multiple weeks with the hamstring. The injury looked worse than they previously thought. But you also have CeeDee Lamb, who is out as well. Looks like week to week with his AC shoulder sprain. And you have not a lot of weapons, not a lot of running back, not a lot of offensive line power. But what do you need to survive that? You need a rushing quarterback. Trey Lance is going to be able to move the pocket. He's going to be able to run. Yes, I don't know if it's going to be Cooper Rush or him, but it should be Trey Lance. We've seen Cooper Rush. We know there's nothing there. So this is one of my dart throw plays here. Even if you look back to like the 49ers, right? So he only played 6 games, right, in 2021, his rookie year, when he came out and broke his foot right away. He had 5 touchdowns, 2 picks. That's not bad touchdown to interception ratio for a rookie in his first year. He had 168 rushing yards to go along with a rush TD there as well. So you can see why you can like this guy, especially when they get CeeDee Lamb back here. Hopefully that's like a week or two. And he could give you the rushing upside. He could give you massive turnover games too as well. So, I mean, you have to look out for everything because he looked very bad in the preseason. But again, this is a dart throw deep league pickup right here because you got to love the rushing upside of fantasy football. Heading over to the running back you should be targeting, it is going to be Jaylen Warren for the Pittsburgh Steelers, currently owned in 42% of leagues, currently RB 59, 41 attempts, 151 rush yards, does work through the air too as well, 12 receptions, 67 yards, has not found the end zone this year yet, but that is going to happen. And right now he's coming off a bye. So this is another play like Russell Wilson where you can target him on the waiver wire. I would probably spend 15, 20% fab on him, nothing crazy. Maybe waiver priority like about 5 to 7 range if you needed a running back bad, because he'll be able to fill the hole here. And I know Najee Harris is your big bruiser, and it's getting winter time, and it's about to be the bruise, pound and ground Steeler run game here with Najee Harris. But you're still going to get 10 to 12 carries sprinkled in, probably 2 to 3 catches a game from Jaylen Warren, who's going to give you probably a floor of like 6 to 8 points if you need a flex play with a possible touchdown upside. And you have the true handcuff if anything were ever to happen to Najee Harris. I know he's built like a brick shithouse, never gets hurt, but if anything were to happen to him, you'd instantly have an RB1 who is a 15 to 20 point play weekly with the amount of volume he would see. So, I mean, even if you look back to last year, this guy had 200 points in fantasy football last year, right? So he got hurt in week 4 and 5 this year. He had, in week 3. Then he missed week 4 and 5. Then he came back and played limited snaps in week 5. So week 6. He hasn't even really been out there. So you're pretty much getting a running back that is a 200-point guy that averaged 5.26 yards per carry last year that has just been hampered by injuries, and you should be going to get Jaylen Warren on the waiver wire this week. The 5th player and 2nd running back you should be targeting on the waiver wire this week is Ray Davis, currently owned in 21% of Yahoo leagues right now. RB 37 on the year, 61 attempts, 262 yards, 10 receptions, 149 yards, took that 65-yard bomb to the house, looked electric, and he has 3 touchdowns on the year. So why I like Ray Davis so much is not only the fact that he's probably one of the number 1 handcuffs in fantasy football you could have, because if you look at the game where James Cook was out with the injury, look what he did, right? Against the Jets, he went for 20 points. He rushed for 97 yards. He had 55 yards through the air. The man's an absolute machine out of Kentucky, man. So I look at it like this. This is like the Chase Brown, Zach Moss situation. James Cook is a very good running back, yes, but when Ray Davis is out there, he just looks better, man. It's crazy to say. So when I look at Zach Moss out there at the beginning of the year, you could tell, I've been saying it all year throughout my videos, Chase Brown's the better running back. Look what happened when he got the opportunity. I know it's crazy to say with James Cook. I know he's still their top running back. But, I mean, man, if you give Ray Davis the shot, he's better inside the tackles. The receiving work is phenomenal. He has 1 drop. James Cook's also a good running back, also a good receiving back as well. So I hope the coaching staff either notices to start making this a 1-2 punch instead of giving, like Ray Davis only got 14% of the snaps last week. And look what he did with it. He had 21 fantasy points and 14% of the snaps compared to James Cook's 12 points and 55% of the snaps. So you can see the production that he does with limited work. Like week 7, 24% snaps, 11 points. It's nonstop. He's getting better and better and better. And I'm willing to spend 10%, 15% fab on him. And if I own James Cook, I'm willing to spend 20 to 30% because this is a legit handcuff. The 6th player you should be targeting heading over to my wide receivers is going to be Quinton Johnson. And my goodness, did he show up last week in week 9 yesterday with 26 points, only on 68% of the snaps, 5 targets, 4 receptions, 118 yards, and a teeter. Is he the big body wide receiver red zone focal point that the Chargers are going to use? Yes. And just like I said with Justin Herbert at the beginning when I had him as an ad, they have started to pass the ball more now. So even if you're looking at the beginning of the year, right? So he had 5 targets, 6 targets, 2 targets, 5 targets. In those games, he still averaged about 12 to 13 fantasy points. Then he gets hurt, right? And then he played Denver in week 6 where you get Pat Surtain, and that's a tough matchup. But look at the schedule heading forward. I know it's tough with Tennessee here. Then you get Cincy, Baltimore, Atlanta, KC, Tampa Bay. Then you get Denver. That's tough. Then New England. You have 2 tough games in the past game with the bye out of the way. He's only owned in 16% of leagues, which is absolutely crazy to me. He is going to be their big game breaker play, like big body play guy. So if you're hurting at wide receiver with all the crazy amount of injuries that there is, I am honestly right now, and it's crazy to say, I'm willing to spend 40 to 50% fab to go get Quinton Johnson or a even 2 to 3 top waiver priority if that's how your league works, because this man is just going to get better and better down the stretch. and everybody was right about the breakout. I'm not going to lie, I was not on board with it, and he's proven me wrong, and I want to go get this guy right now at all costs. Seventh player you should be targeting on your waiver wires in the second wide receiver is going to be Xavier Legette. So currently only owned in 27% of Yahoo leagues, which is absolutely crazy to me. Wide receiver 54 on the year, 41 targets, 26 receptions, 244 receiving yards, even gets rushing work, has 5 carries for 22 yards there, 4 total touchdowns on the season. And you have to look at it like he only played 5 of these games over 50% of the snaps, right? Because he's a rookie, he's learning the system. Now you have Deontay Johnson out of town in Baltimore. You have Adam Thielen looks to be on the trade block. That's why they sat him out last week. So we got to pay attention to that before tomorrow, which would mean you're getting your wide receiver 1 in an offense that is going to be playing from behind in probably the rest of the games in the season. I know they beat the Saints, cheers up for the Panthers on that one, big win, but it's only just hurting their draft capital. So when you're looking at this, you're going to have him, Coker, and Jatavion Sanders, who all get a boost here. Because if Adam Thielen's out of town, then this guy's going to be your number 1 target. And he's had back-to-back 10-plus point games here with back-to-back touchdowns. So the chemistry is building with Bryce Young. He is an electric talent. And, man, if you're looking for a wide receiver, I'm willing to spend 25 to 30% FAAB here if you need one, because he's going to be a flex play weekly here. And it's like people don't even understand that with the 27% ownership. I think that's absolutely bonkers to me. The 8th player you should be targeting in the third wide receiver is going to be Jerry Jeudy, and this is another one of those bye week plays you have to make here. So the Browns are heading into week 10 on a bye. Currently only owned in 48% of Yahoo leagues. Wide receiver 42, 61 targets, 33 receptions. Obviously, Deshaun Watson's targets were terrible at the beginning of the season. 418 receiving yards. Hasn't got any rushing yards yet, but I could see him getting a couple rushing yards here and there down the stretch here. And only 1 total TD. But we have to look at here is Jameis Winston. Now, Jameis Winston had a very tough matchup versus the Chargers. That's why I had him on a sit-em. That was a hit there. But what you're looking at here is he's played 95, 97, 100% of the snaps the past 3 weeks. He's seen almost 20 targets in the past 2 games, which is 10 targets an average there. 75-yard average over that 2-game span. They're probably going to be playing most games from behind. Yes, Cedric Tillman has outproduced him in every single way in the past 3 weeks, but you're still getting a wide receiver 2 possible flex play weekly that's going to see massive volume here, and their schedule is very tough, right? But that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at how much volume they're going to see. So they get the Saints when they come off the bye. That's a good matchup. But then you get Pittsburgh, Denver, Pittsburgh, KC, Cincy, Miami, Baltimore, all very tough matchups. Well, they will be playing from behind, and volume is king in fantasy football. So if you need a wide receiver with all the crazy amount of injuries that have happened, again, I'm willing to spend 15 to 20% to go get Jerry Jeudy, who's going to give you 10 to 12 points a game as a floor with a possible touchdown upside ceiling of 20. So it's worth it to me to go snag him, especially off a bye. The 9th player and heading into my tight ends here is going to be an insane guy that is only available in 87% of leagues. He's only owned in 13%, is Mike Gesicki of the Cincinnati Bengals. You have a top 13 tight end on the waiver wire, guys, that's not owned. This is crazy to me. 36 targets, 30 receptions. Look at his catch rate as he catches one-handed over the top. The guy's athletic ability is through the roof. 353 yards and 2 touchdowns. But what you have to like here is not only the fact that Joe Burrow is just slinging the ball everywhere, is that now you might even have T. Higgins trade rumors right now, which is what's going on. There's a bunch of things saying the Chargers, bunch of stuff like that. And it just looks like T. Higgins has been unengaged in football this year. So you'd be getting a guy that gets a massive volume boost here, because what just happened? Eric All, the phenom rookie out of Iowa, just went down for the year with a season-ending injury. So now you're going to have Gesicki up in the 60 to 70% snap range, and he is going to absolutely feast, guys. He was just tied in 1 on the week last week with 29 points, 5 receptions, 100 yards, 2 teeters. Absolutely balled out. And now you're going to get the Baltimore Ravens, great matchup. Chargers are weak. Then you get a bye. Then you get a tough Steelers, but then you get Dallas, Tennessee, Cleveland, Denver, Pitt. And when you're going to be out there at the amount of volume he's going to see, this is going to be a startable tight end weekly that you should be spending 15 to 20% FAAB on. And you can start him every single week. This is going to be an insane play the rest of the way here. I'm honestly going to call it right now that he's going to be like the David Njoku of last year and lead people to titles down the stretch here in the season. Last but not least, the 10th player you should be targeting on your waiver wire is the jack of all trades, Tamm Hill, the tight end, quarterback, whatever you want to call him. Currently owned in 37% of Yahoo leagues. Tight end 30 on the year. 12 targets, 8 receptions. We know that's not where it gets done, but he did just see his most targets on the season last week against Carolina with 5 targets, 4 receptions, 41 yards. He also has 180 total yards on the season. So if you add in his rushing as well, that is where he does most of his damage. So he has 116 yards rushing and 3 rushing touchdowns. And now you have the Saints, who are pretty much falling apart everywhere. You have Chris Olave, who went down with another concussion back-to-back. Alvin Kamara is heading into age 30. Kendre Miller on IR. We know Jamal Williams is old and he can be a goal line plunger, yeah. But Taysom Hill is going to see work here, guys. He's going to be utilized. He's all over the field. X, Y, Z. They line this guy up everywhere. They can even do quarterback passes with him out of their crazy plays they call. And I never really liked, the jack of all trades, boomer bust play with him. But with the amount of volume he's going to see here down the stretch, he's going to be a tight end that is playable. So you're going to get the Falcons. You're going to get Cleveland. And then you're going to get a bye. So you might have a 2-week plug and play here, depending on Olave's injury and how it looks, because you even have Bub Means out. I mean, their whole wide receiver core is shambles. So they could just be running 11 personnel with 2 tight ends the whole way here. And Taysom Hill's value is worth about a 15 to 20% FAAB. I'll say 10 to 15% FAAB pick it for me. And you can probably play him, start him the next 2 weeks here at tight end and not even look back. So it's one of the guys I'm very interested in picking up at tight end here is Taysom Hill. Thanks for rocking with me today, guys. That is the end of episode 131. That is my top 10 waiver wire pickups heading into week 10. Hope you guys enjoyed. Before we head out, guys, make sure you smash that like. Make sure you smash that subscription. Turn that bell on. It helps me out a ton. And if you guys have any questions, like you can't make the live stream, I'll be live again tonight, an hour before kickoff. We'll be covering everything once again. And if you can't make any of the live streams, you can always drop any comment you want down below. One of my goals is to get to every single one of them as a content creator. It was my birthday last weekend, so I missed a bunch of the comments. Sorry, guys. It was Halloween. It's too much for me, man. I'm getting too old. But again, I can't thank you guys enough for all the support. I will get all my rankings and all my stardom sit-ems out before Thursday, guys. And hope to see you guys in the live stream tonight. SleezBall out.